The vintage scene has 4 stores in the UK and attracts many people to come here with its vitality and old fashion. Here I interviewed Mega, the shop staff, who introduced the biggest differences between the vintage scene and other vintage shops.
But for us, I'd say what makes us stand out a little bit more is we do a lot of reworked items. So a lot of like damaged clothing gets turned into other things. So we have like different tops and different bags and hats made out of it's upcycled materials.
And the vintage scene will also release matching clothes on Instagram to provide customers with matching inspiration.
I'd say, like you say, there's quite a few vintage shops, so I'd say vintage and sustainable fashion is getting more popular. As I said before, especially with our store, we have in-house seamstresses that rework a lot of fabrics. So it's things that would end up normally in the landfill, we repurpose them and give them a new life. So I think it's a good thing because, sustainable fashion equals less landfills being filled up with just clothes and just giving them a new home to go to.
Mega believes that in the future there will be more such vintage shops and sustainable fashion will become more common among the public.
I think people are getting more warmed up to the idea of it. I definitely say, like you say, there's a lot of more vintage shops in town. And also just with the rise of apps like Vinted and Depop, I think it's becoming just more normalized for people to shop secondhand.
Through the interview, many customers often visit vintage shops, and buying second-hand clothes is also a part of their lives.
Yeah, all the time. I think most of my clothes are from vintage shops.
I'm massively into me vintage clothing. I try and buy old school things. And I'm sure me age here, but the space shop in Newcastle years ago down Centre Station called Flip. That was like the original vintage clothing shop.
And they thought this kind of vintage shops will also help with sustainable fashion development.
Definitely is. It incentivizes people to reuse clothes, and there's not enough of them, so it really does need to be here to do that job.
Yeah, totally. And it's got people employed, young people, and we've got so many nice things in here. We've had the money out by Garfield Telephone, but I just haven't got the money. But yeah, it's my first time in today, and I bought something, and I'm definitely coming back.
So much more sustainable to go second-hand, definitely charity shops and vintage shops, than just going, because it's fast fashion really. Everyone goes on Shein and stuff now, but it's just not as good. I like little small businesses are so much better.
At the same time, they all believe that the sustainable fashion development will be better in the future.
I think old fashion trends are cyclical, but I do think that vintage fashion is here to stay in a sense because both of the price and also the quality of materials. You find better clothes when they're built a lot older because they come from better factories. They were made with stronger materials. Like if you get a pair of denim trousers from the 80s, the thread count's all higher, so they literally last longer. They look nicer. So I think it's probably here to stay in the long term.
Well, I think some people are, and it's just like a bit of a jolly word, are snobs. My mum is, I go to charity shops quite a lot. I've got some really good books from charity shops. But I think the older generation frown upon it. But my daughter's 16 and she couldn't kiss like this, so she goes to charity shops and looks smart. But her mentality is, it's like, well, why waste money on making new clothes when you can buy second hand? And that's totally agree.